Okay, let's get into the AP mastering thing. I hate content creators. Me too. Me too, Noir. Me too. I agree. Ugh. They make me mad, dude. Especially this Weaverbeats guy. But you know what I hate the most? This man right here. This man. This is the man I hate the most. When I see that face, I know I'm about to get real angry. I'm about to get real angry real quick. So he says pro audio monitors are all crap. Use these instead. So I'm guessing this is a follow-up to the other studio monitor or crap video. This guy's the master of rage bait. Like, he must have taken a course. You guys are like brothers. I'm not this bad, dude. This dude's the audio antichrist. He is, dude. All right, so for once, the like ratio on this video is not that bad. I think he may have less hot takes in this video. He's onto something. Okay, get your tiny monitors out of here. So my hot take already before we begin this guy's content is making a mountain out of a molehill. Now, I know that's the pot calling the kettle black, definitely here, but I think I more so clickbait a little bit. I don't quite like try to like make the arguments bigger than they are, right? That's one thing I noticed about this guy's videos. Like, for instance, like in the last one talking about the studio monitor scam, he was talking about how if you don't use these giant monitors, basically like it's crap. You know what I mean? Your mixes are going to be crap. It's going to be shit. It's going to be terrible. No, he is lying. He is lying when he says that. Tons of people do great mix and masters on shitty equipment. Now, am I saying what he's saying is wrong in the sense that like there isn't distortion in the low end of the monitors? No, that's true. That is true. But is it going to affect the final product? If it is, probably like 3% at most. Right? Watch the video. Talking about this video, not the previous, but this video is related to the previous one. So I'm just giving my take on it before this.
It was seething in the comments.
Should I do an interview with this guy? I'm sorry to pause again. Should I do an interview with this guy? He reached out to me before. I'm gonna have to do some research though, because like I haven't dug into all like the logistics of this. Yes? Okay, maybe we can do it live.
In the comments of my previous video where I made the case that small ported speakers aren't that accurate for studio use.
So it's not, okay. It's not that it's not. Okay, when you say not accurate, give us a percentage. Give us a percentage, you know?
I don't care about troll comments, I care about facts. And here are some...
Well, okay, hold on. He's deleted a lot of legitimate comments, though. He's deleted a lot of legitimate comments. A lot of critical comments. Like, I think what he calls troll comments sometimes are actually, like, legitimate criticism.
Facts. This is a study measuring various different kinds of distortion.
Just wait for the outdated data. Can you show me the updated data? Aditya? I can't pronounce your name. Send it into the Discord, just in the general chat or something, or DM me it on Discord.
In popular pro audio.
Okay, let's see. The Yamaha NS10, 20 years of reference monitor. Why? Okay.
You can see from the waterfall plot that this speaker here exhibits...
Well, that's a really old monitor, right?
Excellent time domain performance across the entire range of the speaker. The lower mids and the bass are very fast indeed.
Yeah, exactly. It's more important to learn how your monitors sound than it is to learn, you know, all this shit. Learning how your monitors sound and how other songs sound on it and referencing between those, that's going to make light years of a difference over this shit. Yeah, I agree, Noir. The only reason I don't like that guy is because he says everything companies want to sell us is a scam. The thing is like, okay, on YouTube, being visceral sells, you know? Please watch the video. We're going to watch the video, okay? Hold on. We're really breaking this down here, okay? Being visceral sells. So being like, okay, this is amazing, or this is fucking terrible. This is a scam. Those are the two things that are going to perform the most. Weaver, I love you, but AP dude will asphalt you, my man. Well, I'm saying I don't know the logistics of this shit here, but I can call out bullshit arguments. I could point out the fact that he's making a mountain out of a molehill. It's hard to disprove that.
Compare that to this speaker. You see significant resonances below 100 Hz, and there's even ringing at 300 Hz. It seems that the resonances are so bad at 50 Hz, the ringing might last for half a second or even longer.
But you listen on those anyway, so right? People are going to be listening on these or even shittier speakers.
So which is which? The one that looks good on the chart.
Of course they cut it subs. Good point. Yeah. What about subwoofers? Although, like, I don't know if those are big enough to produce the sound waves either.
Is a classic Yamaha NS10.
He literally did make a mountain, yeah.
Absolute legendary speaker used in many studios as a near field for mixing. It is a sealed cabinet, so it doesn't have very good low bass extension, and it's more of a mid-range frequency focused sound. However, because it's a sealed cabinet and it hasn't got any ports, the time domain properties are very good indeed. The other speaker is a Tannoy Reveal. This was a classic for bedroom producers because it was cheap and had a bunch of bass. So if you're making tunes, electronic music, you can really hear that bass. but it comes at the cost of accuracy. It uses ports to hype up the bass.
Exactly. Mastering on expensive equipment for your music to mostly be played on a phone speaker. Exactly.
To make its small cabinet sound bigger than it actually is, and that really induces resonances because that's what ports do, and it comes at the cost of the time domain properties, which are just obviously less good in the ported Tannoy Reveal.
See, if you want to say things are less good like this, that's a fine argument. That's a fine argument. Now, saying if it's going to make your mixes shit, or if they are shit, that's where you're taking it too far, in my opinion. You know, like, it's not accurate. You're just not being accurate.
Compared to the Yamaha NS10. But let's not stop there. Let's look at some other...
No, he's not wrong. That's the thing. He's not wrong, but he presents the arguments in a hyperbolic fashion.
Speakers. So another pair of speakers here. So what speakers are these? A are the classic Auratones, loved by many professional mix engineers.
Okay, so this is like time domain properties. He didn't really like explain this part very well.
And amateurs turn their noses up at them and say they don't sound very good. There's no bass there. Why would I buy those? They sound horrible when they don't understand them. And B is a classic budget studio monitor because they're pretty good, but you can still see really bad time domain performance below 100 Hertz. But let's not stop there.
Wait, hold on though. These monitors, these monitors here do not go to 20 Hertz. Am I wrong here? These monitors do not go to 20 Hertz. I'm like almost positive. Do they? I don't, what are they? Mackie, HR. Do those go to 20 Hertz? They go right down to 37 Hertz. Bro, these don't even go to 20 Hertz. Like, look at this. These don't even go to fucking 20 Hertz. But you can see the roll off in his graph. Okay, yeah, like right there. But wouldn't you like not even, if it doesn't, do you not get, I thought you get nothing. Do you not get nothing at 20 Hertz? It peaks somewhere around 35, it seems.
See really bad.
Well, I mean, that's what the crossover's for.
At time domain performance below 100 Hertz. But let's not stop there. Here is another small ported speaker.
I think that waveform begs to differ. Okay.
Can't wait for Pro Q4. Maybe Pro L3 one day.
Thank you for the $2, Operculum. I mean, hopefully they add more features in Pro L3. I don't know what else they're going to add in that either. I think that waveform begs to differ. Well, what is the source of this?
And another small ported speaker. And another small ported speaker.
Because the source here is 37 Hertz. And also the fact that you're going to use a crossover and you're going to use a sub.
Speaker. And as you can
it's not a straight frequency chart, it's time domain. I got that. It's time domain and frequency.
See, they all have the same pattern. If they're small with a...
He's just playing the game. He's not often technically wrong, but he purposely says things in a hyperbolic, condescending, blanket statement way. He's often right, but annoying. Exactly. I agree with that. Yeah, I don't even think he's like ever wrong. Well, except for that DAW tier list. That was terrible because he didn't even like use half of those DAWs. But other than that, yeah, generally I think he's actually probably right, but he's just very hyperbolic to the point where it's like, the thing is when beginners hear this shit, they're like basically kind of being lied to. You're telling them that they have to buy these like $100,000 monitors or build their own monitors. Like, it's kind of fucked up to be hyperbolic about this kind of stuff.
In order to enhance the bass so they can produce more bass than their size would naturally permit from a sealed design, well, they can get that bass, but it comes at the cost of time domain performance and accuracy. Have you ever wondered why so many pro mix engineers are very happy to give up that deep low bass, the full range sound and the sparkling higher top end just to have a really brutal mid-range sound? Well, the answer is because the secret is in the mid-range. If you want to get a solid mix, you must nail the mid-range. All of the super low sub-frequency stuff and all of the top-end, shimmery, high-frequency fairy dust stuff is relatively unimportant for the mix. A mastering engineer can just sort that out in 2 minutes. The important bit is to...
Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, if the mix sucks, I mean, I don't know about that.
Now the mid-frequencies. Because if you don't get the mids right, your mix isn't going to translate. It's not going to sit well at all on other systems. The mix is just going to fall apart when you play it on other systems. So that's why pro mix engineers are very happy indeed with NS10s or Auratones because they have fantastic time domain and harmonic distortion.
Who needs monitors? Just use headphones. Rolling on the floor laughing.
I mean, honestly, what's mostly important is just like using multiple things, dude. Having 2 sets of monitors, 1 or 2 sets of headphones, that'll get you way further than one. Like, I bet you that's better. In my opinion, that's probably better than having 1 set of $100,000 monitors. Because you can change your perception. You can like listen to it in different things. And you can be like, okay, wait, it sounds good to hear it on this one. But on this other one, it doesn't sound good that much in this range. You know, and you can kind of like find like a middle ground between the 2 things.
Properties in the mid frequencies. If you've got full range monitors that go all the way down to 30 or 40 hertz and all the way up to 20K and it looks pretty flat, you might actually get terrible mixes mixing on those monitors. When you combine the inaccuracies of a small ported speaker that is otherwise full range with the inaccuracies that you get in a non-perfect, especially small room, then that's a recipe for getting absolutely horrible mixes that don't translate at all. You'd be much better off with a pair of headphones. Well, let's imagine you've
Absolutely horrible though. You know, hyperbolic, just hyperbolic.
got a full range response, you're hearing a lot of bass, and you want to mix the bass guitar and the kick drum. Well, if you've got a really oomphy sounding kick drum coming through in the room, then you might be like, yeah, the kick drum's coming through, it's sounding really nice. But you're just hearing the low frequencies that maybe some people, when they're listening to other systems, they might not even hear that bass because it's going to be, it's not going to reproduce on their particular speaker. So you're relying on the oomph of the sub frequencies, low frequencies that are not.
One issue is that his starting point is that you're going to have a mastering engineer fix a low end that you can't hear on an S10, but 80% of people are mastering themselves. That's true, but the thing is, like, if okay, hold on. If your balance between the kick and the bass and is bad, then the mastering engineer is not going to be able to fix that, bro. If the kick doesn't hit, they can't fix that. If it's like getting muddy and blending together, the kick and the bass, they can't fix that.
Even existent on some other speakers. And you're forgetting the mid-range. So you're not nailing the mid-range and you're relying on the sub-frequencies. That's a big problem. And the same with the bass guitar. Let's say you're in an inaccurate room and you're hearing, you've got peaks and troughs in your bass response and then certain notes.
Why does barber stop halfway through the haircut? One thing I'm confused about is the new room here.
Might stick out more than others. Now you're going to EQ that down and EQ certain other notes up. And then you listen to it on another pair of speakers and you might have the opposite going on. And it's just going to all sound like a complete mess. So it's a disaster. It's much better just to not hear that bass at all, roll that off and focus on the mid frequencies and let a mastering engineer sort out what's happening in the sub frequencies. This is why.
True, this guy is he's really down for mixing. He's super into mixing. He's so into mixing that he has a high pass filter for a haircut.
If I had a bad sounding...
Honestly, I don't think this haircut is the best for mixing. You know, it's not really good for acoustics, man. It may throw it off a little bit, you know? It could mess up the time domain frequencies on the right side of his head.
I would much rather have a €400 pair of Auratone speakers with no bass than a €10,000 pair of Genelec speakers which are full range. So this seems to back up the age-old rule of thumb, small room, small speakers, big room, big speakers. Although this is a pretty simple rule, which might actually be helpful by accident, is
true. Dude insists you need him and his gear to master because it's his career path. See, I think that's another reason why I think he's hyperbolic, because it kind of insists upon the credibility of his mastering and the way he does things. So it makes people more likely to pay him for mastering.
Actually wrong. A better rule might be something like this.
What about putting a bandpass on the Genelecs every once in a while to simulate the Aratones? Virtual Riot, that makes too much sense, okay? You're making too much sense right now, okay? You need to stop it.
Happy sounding room, small speakers. A good sounding room, big speakers. So let's break this down. Why am I saying that?
Yeah, that's another thing about his videos too, K-Pax. He's also making arguments no one is making just to make a point to be correct, but it's irrelevant. Yeah, exactly. They're arguments that nobody's making and no one's really debating because it doesn't really... It's not that it doesn't matter, but it matters so little that, like, people just don't care.
Why am I saying that? Well, let's think about it. If you've got a crappy sounding small room, what are the problems you're going to be facing? You're going to be facing a really inaccurate low end. You're going to have peaks and troughs in your frequency response, in your low end, and you're also going to have flutter echoes and weird echoey stuff going on in your room. But let's say you've got a crappy sounding large room. What are the problems going to be there? Well, you're going to have an uneven low frequency response. You're going to have peaks and troughs in your low frequency response, and you're also going to have problems with echo. So in both cases, if you've got a crappy room, no matter how big it is, you're facing similar kinds of problems. So a few people use this small room, small speakers, big room, big speakers.
Okay, now I'm trying to imagine he's actually green screen the couch in the room and he's actually squatting. He's got some sort of power squat
thing to say that the speakers that I built and I showed in my previous video were not suitable for small rooms. Now, that may or may not be the case, but it's not for that reason. And by the way, if you're interested in building a
I find it really hard to believe that these are going to be that accurate. I feel like building your own speakers, they're going to be extremely inaccurate.
pair of mastering grade speakers for under 2K, just like the ones I built and I showed in my previous video, or my course telling you exactly how to build those speakers is now live. You can just go to my website if you're interested in that course and
Bro, okay, I feel like this is kind of a scam, bro. Unless like you're telling people to build their own speakers and charging them for a course on how to do it, you're going to have to make sure they're like accurate. They're going to have to be accurate. I feel like this is, I don't know, dude. I think if he just stopped and wasn't selling the course, I think this is fine. But like selling a course for something that you don't know for sure is going to be accurate. Like there's no quality control. Like you're quality controlling yourself. It seems like, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
check it out there. But anyway, some people were saying that my speakers won't work well in a small room because small room, small speakers, big room, big speakers. And those are big speakers, so they don't work well in a small room. Or let's go over this more in detail and see why this is misguided. So let's revisit our two big problems.
Wait, he's saying they will work in a small room?
For crappy sounding rooms. The first one is an uneven low frequency response. So
exactly, like he's presenting this thing as a scam. Studio monitors are a scam. Build your own speakers, buy my course in order to do it. So he's basically presenting the problem that wasn't really much of a problem. And then he's presenting the solution for it, and he's charging money for it. I don't know, it's not really a good look.
What can we do against having an uneven low frequency response if we've got a crappy sounding room? Well, one thing we can do is just hear less low frequency information so we're less distracted by it and we're less...
You are me laugh a lot. Best tip, get a pair of good mid-range priced monitors plus Arc Studio / similar plus pair of great sounding cans with proper sub. Use many listening cans / speakers to siphon out harshness.
Thank you for the donation, Carl. You know what my real suggestion is? Get that new sub pack, the one that hasn't shipped yet. That is the solution in my opinion. Get that new sub pack. It'll be coming any day now. I promise. That's gonna fix your mixes. All right. I mean, I agree. I just think having multiple things to mix on is like the most important thing. You know, something with like a full frequency response, something with like, you know, maybe like those NS10s or something like, or what were they? The cube ones, and then I don't know, some shitty monitors, not shitty monitors, shitty like little speakers, then a couple pair of headphones, dude, cycle between them, can't go wrong.
Influenced by it in what we're doing when we're shaping the mix. That's the approach that we get with NS10s and Auratones, and why so many professional engineers have gravitated towards them over the years, and they've stood the test of time, because in whatever room you're in, they're not very room dependent, because all of those room modes that are really influencing the translation of the mix, you're just hearing less of it. What better way to be less distracted by it by just hearing less of it? Well, naturally, the sealed enclosures with a low Q factor, you're just going to hear less of those problematic low frequencies because they just roll off higher. Now, let's think about it. Let's get now a small pair of ported speakers that hype up.
K-Packs, that's basically what I have. I have these shitty like little Logitech speakers too. Like just, I mean, it's just good to check on different things. You know what I mean? Like for instance, like I'll check on those. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of don't like the mid range on this a little bit. And then I'll tweak it a little bit. And I'm like, oh wait, dude, that was actually a good solution. You know, because I'll check again on the other stuff. I'm like, I like that.
The bass and give you more bass, and they're really full range. They're hyping up all of this bass in the low frequencies. What you're going to get, you're going to get distracted by all of this bass, and it's going to be really exaggerated in the low end, and that's really going to be compounded by the inaccuracies of the room.
So one thing too about this, you have to keep in mind too, a lot of the people buying these sort of monitors, they're buying them to make music on. Buying those fucking cube speakers to make music on, that's uninspiring as shit, dude. You want to buy, like for me at least, like when I'm making music, I want to be making it on something where I could hear the bass really well. You know, if it hypes up the bass, that's gonna make me like, yeah, I'm like hyped up on the sub here I'm adding. You know, like it's gonna, I don't know, it makes me. Do you release music? Yes. Why do I have to do this every fucking time? Just go on Spotify, bro.
Now you've got two things that are inaccurate. You've got the speakers that are inaccurate, and now you've got the room, which is inaccurate, compounding that inaccuracy, and now you've just got a whole big soup of low-end mess. The second problem is reverberation, echoes, flutter echoes, interfere.
One thing I noticed too, he doesn't talk about sound ID reference. Like, why is that completely left out of the conversation here? For those of you who don't know, stuff like this, sound ID reference, you can use it to correct the frequency response of your monitors as well as your room. And you use basically I gave you like a little measurement microphone, and you can essentially like flatten out the frequency response. It's not completely perfect, but it's way better. It's way better than not using it. Unless you have like, you're like just super tuned into your monitors already. And you can also use it to simulate other monitors too. Sound ID won't sort out your room. So, okay, obviously, if you treat your room first, that's going to be the best thing to do. Treat your room first. Sound ID's a scam. AP's next video. I wouldn't be surprised. That's going to be a pretty hard topic to tackle though. But basically, first, obviously, treat your room. Treat your room first. Okay, that's number one. Get some good panels, you know, bass traps, etc. I heard this like cloud thing is really good. Foam if you have to. Whatever you need to like just dampen the room a shitload. But then after that, then you use this, okay? Is Sound ID doing a measurement after calibration? So, okay, so the microphone is calibrated. It knows the frequency. They have like the frequency response of the microphone, and then basically they use that plus the frequency response of your headphones for just the headphones, or sorry, not for the headphones, for the monitors. You do it like you measured it a bunch of times at different areas of the room, so it kind of compensates for anything in the room too. Now, is it perfect? No. Solve ID doesn't solve decay times caused by nodes. Do treatment first. Yes, exactly. I'm not saying don't do treatment. I didn't say that. But yeah, for some reason he leaves these out of the conversation.
Hearing in the directness of how we're hearing the signal, we're hearing all of this diffuse ambient sound rather than just hearing the direct mix, how it should really sound in its more pure form. So how do we deal with that problem?
There's an EQ. It basically compensates. It is like an EQ compensation for it.
And how do we...
And also time delay compensation, yeah.
Hear it close.
I wouldn't say he's clueless. Sorry to keep pausing. I wouldn't say he's clueless, but he's just hyperbolic.
So more accurate and exclude the room, or we can just bring the speakers closer towards us. And the closer they are, the more direct signal we're getting proportional to the ambient signal in the room. So we can exclude more of the room the closer the speakers are to us, and the extreme of that is if the speakers are on our ears, now we're wearing headphones.
I haven't used ARC, but yeah.
Not hearing the room at all, we're just hearing the direct signal 100%. So hopefully that sounds quite intuitive, and that explains the rationale behind near-field monitors and how if you have a crappy sounding room, you want your speakers to be smaller and nearer so that you don't have the problems in the low end and with the room ambience. And
does he have another course lined up? Please tell me he has another course he's trying to sell at the end of the video. It's pretty transparent. I don't like it.
The logical extension of that is just to wear headphones, and that's what I would recommend for really bad sounding rooms. Just get a pair of headphones. Now, that should make sense.
Well, I don't think you should just have headphones. I don't know. I mean, I still think you should have monitors.
And be a better rule than just small room.
What is can opener? I don't know that one. Let me know in the chat.
Small speakers, big room, big speakers. Because it's not about big room, big speakers, because you can have a crappy sounding big room and big speakers just won't sound good in that room. And small speakers will sound better in that room. So it's really about crappy sounding room, small sealed cabinet speakers or headphones.
Okay.
Good sounding room, big speakers with a low resonant frequency. But okay, here's the curveball. What happens if you have a small room which sounds great because it's acoustically treated? Then can you put massive speakers in your tiny room? Or will it sound better with small speakers after all? So maybe the small speaker, small room thing holds up. Well, actually, I'll just go as far as saying that small rooms are almost impossible to get sounding good because it's really hard to acoustically treat a room when it's small. The smaller the room is, the harder it is to treat. Now, a lot
he's not wrong. He's not wrong there.
People find this unintuitive because most people just don't know that much about acoustics, and they think putting that triangular foam stuff on their wall is going to treat the room, and that it should.
Well, okay, that'll help a little bit. I know people say it doesn't help at all, but these do help a little bit. What this really helps for the most is recording with the fucking microphone. This helps. That's what this is really for, in my opinion. It's a night and day difference for that. But for like bass and stuff like that, no. Yeah, that's not going to do much.
Improve their room. No. Putting the triangular foam stuff in your room just makes it sound worse. It just generally does nothing.
I don't know if it makes it sound worse. I don't know. I don't know about that.
To the bass frequencies at all, nothing below, let's
It makes it sound worse. Does anybody agree with that?
say 500 hertz.
Yeah, Sonarworks does have
lets that continue completely untreated. So you have a boomy, horrible sounding low end, and it sucks all of the life out of the top end. So you just get a horrible sounding room with that stuff. What you want to do is the absolute opposite. You want to use low frequency absorption bass traps, and then you want to use diffusion to...
Yeah, I don't... Okay, hold on. Well, it depends what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to not having it on there and having nothing on there, yeah, it sounds better. If you're comparing it to using like actual room treatment, you know, yeah, obviously the room treatment's gonna be better.
Scatter your high frequencies so you don't kill the top end of the room, but you absorb the troublesome frequencies in the low end. And it gets to the point where the smaller the room is, the thicker the rock wall treatment needs to be, and then the smaller the room will be internally because you've got all this treatment on the wall, and it is one of these sort of like tipping points that below a certain size of the...
I think really the biggest point here is a good mastering engineer in a shitty room or a good mixing engineer in a shitty room is still going to be better than a okay mixing and mastering engineer in an amazing room with these $100,000 speakers or these self-built speakers. You know, that's like kind of my biggest point.
Room below a certain footprint, you just can't really treat it. It's just impossible, and it's just doomed to sound terrible. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you've got a small room, it sounds good, and you've got these massive speakers. Is it going to sound good? We can't have them too close anyway, like near-field speakers, because if they're up in your face, with a big speaker, you've got like 3, 4, even 5-way design. So you've got like a bunch of drivers there. My speakers, for example, got 4 drivers, the tweeter, 2 mids, and the bass. And that is spread across
Kreayshawn,
about a meter with the transmission line atop the...
Yeah, another thing too, like when you guys hear this guy's videos, you're like, okay, this guy better have the best mastering on the fucking planet, dude. This better be game-changing shit. I'm curious, how much does he charge for mastering? Can you even buy... Wait. He just sells plugins and courses. Hold on. Does he sell mastering? I don't care if his music is good, because that's not really what's the debate here. Okay, mastering. Let's see. Stereo mastering tracks. Calculate price. $60. $65. Okay. That's not crazy expensive. Include revisions until M3. What is it? Master 3? Is that what he means? You can actually check it out here. Maybe we'll check that out after. Because this better be like the craziest shit. You know what I mean? Like, it better be good. It's not that you can't present arguments like him, or it's not that you can't say what he's saying, because like objectively, like he's presenting facts for the most part. But then the way he presents them is like such a hyperbolic way that it's like, okay, if it's shit to have these smaller speakers, show me the difference. Prove to me there's a difference. No, it's not even that you gotta walk the walk. It's more so about the way he presents the arguments. If you present these arguments in such a sweeping way to where it's like, it's shit if you don't do it, then it's like, okay, prove that it's shit. You know, you can present all these facts and like not even make music.
Size of these cabinets are 1 meter. And if you've got them up in your face, then there's not enough room there for the sound to propagate and combine in the way that it was intended. So they can't be up in your face like near fields. You've got to have a bit more distance.
It's super difficult to get time and phase alignment right on speakers, even using CNC machines and high-tech measurements, let alone home-built speakers. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, I feel like a lot can go wrong with building your own speakers. I don't know. Like, he makes it seem like it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, no, there's a reason why they have teams working on this shit. Like, it's not... If it was that easy, then fucking people would be building all their own speakers all the time, you know, for mixing and mastering. Especially for mixing and mastering. It's one thing for listening, right? Because it's like, okay, you're just listening. You're not selling stuff to people.
So 1.5, 2 meters.
I've built my own speakers. It's not that hard. Have you built... Okay, wait, hold on. He's not just building speakers, though. He's trying to build speakers that are better than the speakers you're going to buy. Like, it's not just about can you build them. No, but you would not hear the difference. Okay, then you probably wouldn't hear the difference between small monitors and large monitors then.
Of the studio if it's a small room. And if you're going to sit in the back wall of the studio, then you're going to be sitting in an anti-node and you're going to have way too much bass and it's just going to sound boomy and weird. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it doesn't sound boomy and weird because you've got this amazing anechoic chamber type small room setup thing going on. And you've got no standing waves. Well, sure, sit on the back wall and it will sound just fine. The problem is, it's just not feasible in almost any small room because small rooms just inherently don't sound that good. But some people might say, okay, you're talking about theoretically this and that. Well, in terms of practicality, it still applies. Small room, small speakers, big room, big speakers. Well, still, No,
Now we're almost done. We're almost done, Carpenter. Chill.
now, certain loudspeakers might sound better as near fields in their use, and certain loudspeakers might sound better as mid fields in their use. But there's no such thing as a near field speaker, because you can take something which is classically called a near field, such as an NS10, and use it in a midfield orientation, and it sounds just great. Now, that's not near field, that's midfield, despite the fact that everyone thinks that NS10s are near field monitors. Well, the idea of near field is just completely misinterpreted by most people. Near field is...
I feel like this is not really... This part's kind of just... Without the hot takes, man. Yeah, he plays with semantics too much. I agree. Yeah.
So absolutely 100%, you can have small speakers in a big room and it sound absolutely fantastic, or theoretically big speakers in a small room and it's...
Well, I mean, small speakers in a big room are just going to sound... There's no way they can sound bad unless like the room's not treated, because the sound is smaller. The room is bigger, easier to diffuse. I don't know. It's not really that complicated, I feel like.
Still could sound fantastic if it was somehow bizarrely well treated for a small room. But most people aren't going to be able to treat their small rooms very well. So that's the problem of a small room. What speaker that you should choose is not of the variable of room size. It's the variable of room quality, how good the room sounds. This is why if you have a bad sounding room, regardless of how big it is, you should probably get a pair of smaller sealed speakers. And the smaller the room, the smaller the speakers and nearer they should be to the point where you want to wear...
If you interview him, show him Be Nice to Me. Are you talking about the Blade song?
your speaker.
Hey, okay, hold on. If I ever get to talk to Rick Beato for any reason, I'm going to show him Blade.
On your head, and that's a pair of headphones. If you want decent sounding full range speakers, you absolutely must have a decent sounding room. So if you go out and spend thousands of euros on full range, high-end pro audio monitors, or whatever monitors you buy, if you don't have a decent sounding room, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah, no, he doesn't give any idea of room dimensions, so you're going to have to estimate that yourself.
And that's the difference between an amateur and...
Like when you say big room, are we talking like a hall? Like a cafeteria? We talking like 20 feet by 20 feet? What are we talking here? What about if it's big in one dimension and then it's short in another dimension? What if it's 20 feet by 4 feet? What if I'm working in a hallway?
A pro goes out of his way to get a decent studio space, rents somewhere on an industrial estate, or finds a room big enough and appropriate to treat acoustically and put a nice pair of speakers in so you can work properly. Whereas an amateur just goes out and buys whatever speakers they like and puts them in their bedroom, on the table, or on some stands, like close behind the desk, up against the wall, and hopes for the best, and it doesn't sound great at all. But if you do have expensive, small, ported pro audio monitors in a non-perfect room, try a small test. Listen to the song Feral by Radiohead on your speakers. Listen to it and concentrate on the kick drum and the low end. And then get a pair of decent headphones and listen to the track again, concentrating on the low end and the kick drum, and see if there are any differences in the low end. See if the length of the kick is the same. I bet for many people listening, the kick will sound longer listening on their speakers than it does on the headphones. Speaking of headphones...
Okay, that's actually something good to present here. I wish you played the song. Or, you know what would have been really good? Well, if he stem separated it and just played the kick and the bass, because then you won't get claimed then, and you can actually show that. You know, you can actually show that as like an example, like, here, test this right now.
My next video, I'm going to discuss...
Also, wait, I mean, there's more to that too, though, right? Like, think about this. Speakers are further away, and you're in a room. So, I mean, I feel like sounds in general are just going to be a little bit longer, right? Am I crazy? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard right now, and I'm becoming retarded, but...
Headphones, and why most of them on the market are absolutely crap. But there are a few which are very, very good indeed, and I'll give my recommendations for those in the next video, so stay tuned.
Okay. I mean, overall, I think that was one of his better videos, and he was less hyperbolic in that one. He did have a few points where he was pretty hyperbolic, but I think that was probably his best video so far, other than the Reaper, the one about Reaper, like why you should master with Reaper. That one I think was his best video because he actually presents real arguments for why you should use Reaper for mastering. He actually came through on that one. He delivered. Is dude gonna make his own headphones now? I can't wait to see that, dude. That's gonna look like shit. Guess he's not hiding in a bunker anymore. No, see, he built that whole room in that time period. Click the like button, guys. Yes, click the like button. If you want to support the channel, if you want to support the content, hit the like button. Easiest way to do so.